and the omnibus. So I was forced into the Archers when I was a child. And look, it's come back to bite me later on.
I'm awash with the stuff.
The Archers is the world's longest-running radio show, with more than 15,000 episodes broadcast. Despite being a rural flavour show, The Archers is recorded in the heart of...
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're doing something a little bit unique, actually. We're taking some sources, this time an audio excerpt, and really digging into them to find, well, some fascinating connections. Our material is from BBC Radio 4's The Archers, a Friday episode, June 20th, 2025. And it gives us an amazing window into sort of human drama and environmental issues happening all at once.
Exactly. And our job really is to pull apart what seem like just ordinary conversations in that story. We want to see the deeper stuff, patterns and how people interact, the absolute headache of trying to get a group to agree on anything, and these really pressing environmental debates. It's all kind of wrapped up together in the narrative.
That's it. So two main threads here. The total chaos of planning a group holiday, and then this really quite intense argument about the environment. And we kind of just drop straight into this gathering. It's meant to be about planning a holiday. Seems simple enough. You can feel the tension straight away. There's definitely more going on. Okay, so let's start with that holiday planning. Alice is, well, bravely attempting to organize a trip for 27 people. 27. I mean, seriously, that just sounds like a recipe for disaster from the get-go. She must be very optimistic. What are the first signs things might go wrong?
Oh, straight away. It's almost textbook group chaos, isn't it? You hear about who's not there, Dad's late, stuck in a board meeting. Helen's apparently on a date with Dane. Adam's just too tired. And then you've got Yakov, who leaves early, and Alice even says he shouldn't even be here because he doesn't want to go anyway. Plus that little exchange between them, Alice saying, I'm not sure about them, and him insisting we're fine. It hits that underlying relationship stuff, already making things tricky.
Right, so the foundations are shaky before they even start. And then it just gets worse, doesn't it? Natasha and Tom were supposed to be there, but one of the twins has a temperature, so they can't make it. But then Natasha starts firing off these demanding messages. It turns into this sort of passive-aggressive group chat nightmare unfolding in real time.
And that leads us straight into the first major blow-up, really. Natasha's messages suggest taking the children out of school during term time. Why? So they can afford, and I quote, somewhere fabulous like Mauritius.
Wow, okay. And Alice's reaction?
Oh, immediate and strong. She says, basically, absolutely not. Her reason. Martha is not falling any more behind just because Natasha wants to go to Mauritius.
Right.
So it's not just about the cost, is it? It's this real clash between maybe saving money versus educational worries.
Yeah.
And Alice's clear anxiety about her daughter's progress. She even says, I just want her to have the best chance. It's quite revealing.
Definitely a clash of priorities there. And just when things seem complicated enough, Auntie Lillian jumps in. She comes up with what she clearly thinks is a brilliant idea, a cruise. She says they're brilliant for children these days.
Yeah, the perfect solution in her eyes. But the reaction is, well, pretty negative. Especially on environmental grounds, you hear people immediately push back. Things like awful for the environment and mentioning giant ships using up thousands of gallons of fuel and ruining Venetera. So, bam, another conflict. This time it's about core values. The environmental impact is a deal breaker for some, which totally clashes with Lillian's idea of a good family holiday.
So yeah, it's no surprise the whole thing just unravels. Pat and Tony then get their babysitting dates mixed up. Alice finally just throws her hands up. She says, I'm giving up organizing this holiday because they're all a nightmare. You kind of saw it coming.
You absolutely did. And what this whole messy holiday planning bit shows us, I think, it's how even simple group goals can just fall apart, can't they? Individual needs, those hidden tensions we talked about, different values, like the environment versus convenience, they all just collide. And Alice deciding she just wants a small trip to Scotland with Yakov and Phoebe, that says it all, really. Moving away from the messy group thing to something manageable, something individual. It's a classic dynamic.
Okay, let's completely change tack now. We move from that family chaos to much more serious, focused discussion about the environment. Stella comes in to present this ecology report. How does that start off? Is there any good news?
Yes, and it's important actually. She does start with some positive. She mentions that the wildflower margins on the arable fields are doing well, lots of pollinators and seeds, good stuff. And apparently the soil on the herbalaise is looking good too. So, it suggests some of the farming practices are having a benefit.
Okay, a few bright spots. But then,
Yeah.
then it shifts, right, to the not so good. and the ugly findings. What are the specific things Stella raises that sound the alarm bells?
Yeah, the tone definitely changes. She reports finding fewer butterflies and moths,
Hey,
and the numbers are worryingly low, she says, in the tens, when presumably they should be seeing hundreds. And then the knock-on effect, farmland birds are struggling. Why? Because, quite simply, we've lost our insects. That food chain connection, plain and simple.
and the problems go deeper than just the insects and birds, don't they? Right down to the soil itself.
Exactly. The report says the soil on some of the poorer land is pretty scrappy. Not much life in it. Specifically, very few worms or dung beetles, and crucially low carbon levels. That's really fundamental, isn't it? Healthy soil is the absolute bedrock of the whole ecosystem. Low carbon, fewer vital creatures. It's not good.
And the water isn't escaping the problems either.
No. Stella mentions high levels of nitrate and phosphate in the watercourses, which in turn are stifling the aquatic plants. So it's impacting the rivers and streams too. It's a system-wide problem being described.
So after presenting all these details, the pollinators, the soil, the water, how does Stella summarize it all? What's the big picture conclusion?
Well, this is the really stark bit. She pulls it all together with a pretty damning statement. She says the data supports the conclusion that the UK is now one of the most nature-depleted countries on Earth. And that just lands with a thud, doesn't it? It puts all those specific findings into this really quite shocking, broader context, and it perfectly sets up the argument that follows.
Yeah, that's a heavy conclusion, and it immediately sparks this disagreement, this clash of approaches. Brian hears all this, but he seems to believe that what they're already doing, things like nature-friendly farming, no-till production, he thinks these are a step in the right direction. His view seems to be, give it time, these things will all make a difference. Patience is key for him.
But Justin completely rejects that. He comes back hard, arguing for, and this is a great phrase, great glumping strides. You can just picture it, can't you? Big, bold, maybe slightly clumsy, but significant steps, not just incremental changes. His core question is basically challenging Brian. Is it enough? Is what we're doing actually enough, given the scale of the problem Stella just outlined? It's that fundamental split, gradualism versus radical action.
And this is where it really heats up. Justin is about to unveil his own plan, his radical idea, which sounds like it involves rewilding a significant chunk of land, maybe half of something important, and before he can even properly lay it out, Martin just explodes, calling Justin a tree-hugging beaver lover who's completely lost the plot. I mean, the battle lines are drawn instantly.
Instantly. And the drama ramps up even more with the next revelation. It turns out Stella knew about Justin's plans all along, even though she seemed to deny it, or at least downplay it, to Brian earlier. That's a huge moment. It shifts from being just about environmental policy to being about trust and, well, betrayal.
You can really hear Brian's reaction. He feels completely blindsided, doesn't he? He says Stella stabbed me in the back, calls her duplicitous, and expresses just utter disappointment. I've never been so disappointed in an employee in my entire life. It's clearly hit him hard, personally, as well as professionally.
Absolutely. And Justin's defense, his justification for keeping it secret, is really interesting too. He basically argues he needed the surprise element to make an impact, he says, to try and win around the people he thought might be persuaded. He even defends his actions by framing it as being mendacious for trying to save the planet. So this raises a massive ethical question, doesn't it? Is it okay to be deceitful, or duplicitous, as Brian puts it, if you genuinely believe it's necessary for a greater good, like tackling climate change or biodiversity loss?
Wow. So we covered a lot there. We went from the slightly ridiculous chaos of the holiday planning, all those clashing personalities and priorities, straight into this incredibly tense, high-stakes argument about environmental action, trust, and strategy.
And the interesting thing is how both stories, in their own way, really shine a light on the same core problem, right? How incredibly difficult it is to get groups of people to agree and act together. Whether it's planning a simple family trip or deciding how to, save the local ecosystem, individual agendas, different values, clashes over how to do things. It just seems inherent in any collective effort.
It really does. Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe something for you, our listener, to ponder. In these situations where the stakes feel really high, opinions are poles apart. Whether it's something in your own life, these huge global challenges, is that element of surprise, maybe even being a bit mendacious, as Justin puts it, is that ever justified? If you truly believe your way is essential for the greater good, or does that approach, like Brian fears, just destroy trust and ultimately lead to more conflict and disaster? How do we navigate that tension when we face complex problems? Something to think about.
So, what are you doing now?
Just getting ready for the next episode. Just moving mics around again.
So, what do you do?
I do the spot effects on the arches.
Are you what we call Foley then?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. And these are all part of the paraphernalia of production?
Yep, that's the ball bar.
This one?
Yep, that's...
Haley so wanted to be in their own place when their baby came. It's due in 2 months. Not much chance of that now. But I mean, it would have been a stretch for them for an action minder. Oh, I just wish there was something practical I could do to help them, Caroline.
I think The Archers has had this immense popularity over the years, basically because it has always very accurately reflected the reality of life and living in a rural community at whatever